Hello everyone, welcome to the House Show. I'm your host, JB Sports Guy. I am joined by my good friend, my co-host, Mr. VK Jones. Everyone, tonight we have a exclusive interview. This guy here just won the first team state championship in wrestling at Archbishop Shaw High School. The head coach of the wrestling team at Archbishop Shaw, Coach Brandon Surrency. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing good. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Definitely, man. We're glad that you have took the time out of your schedule to be with us, and we appreciate it. How did it finally feel to finally have won a state championship in wrestling?
Felt good. We were chasing it for a while. So if you look around the room and you can see, like I was telling y'all a second ago, this is wall padded now, and it really, in 2001 when we got, when the program started, it was very much bare bones, taking the mat outside, wrestling. And as a 2009 graduate, I came in school in 2005. So I was able to see really the program grow to what it is now, where he took over. And you start out with 5-10 kids in the program, and we've had a lot of great people come through it. John Casarino was a great coach. Paul Hattie, Justin Ray's great coach as well, who helped build this foundation. A bunch of guys who've contributed. It's not just now; it's everything that was built to get here. And I think that's what makes it special. That's what makes it a community. And so yeah, we finally get to where we wanted to be, but it definitely took a little while.
Most definitely. Shaw has been in the championship many times for wrestling. It came up short most of those times. What was it about this year that your guys said we would not be taken lightly and we will get this championship?
So the biggest things, we talk faith and fortitude, right? Jesus, God, Holy Spirit, using that trifecta really to guide you in your season. And when things get hard, we had a very young team this year. We took second last year. We graduated a 4-time state champion, Glenn Price. Juvenaka was a 2-time, Zaylin Wilson, Nigel Whitehead, Chad Gooden. We had so many, Todd Ritter. We had so many really good wrestlers that I was very worried coming into this year. So we worked a lot more on that sports psychology of things, that mental side, the grinding it out, but the having faith when things get hard. Because I knew this team was going to get punched in the mouth early in the season. I think we went 15-12, but it took me to the point where last year we were 25-2. So if you see the difference, and we took second at 25-2, and we just won at 15-12. We did a little bit things different of these young guys maturing, right? We did a good job making that schedule to where they had competition, but when we had to dial back and rest, we rest too. And we worked that middle side. Over the Thanksgiving break every year, we do a 3-day lock-in retreat. And so we did a SWOT analysis, show me your strengths, show me your weaknesses, show me your opportunities and threats. Not only as wrestlers, but as people. So now we analyze the entire person. So I want to get you better every which way we can. Let's talk about it. All right, let's find a Bible verse that means something to you. Let's talk about it throughout the season. We brought Father Steve on. I don't know if y'all met Father Steve.
Yeah, most definitely.
Father Steve is awesome.
Yes, he is.
Right? So he was able to kind of help guide us in the retreat as well. And then we got some families involved, donated a lot of food, which usually we don't do too much during wrestling season. But let them eat a little bit, got a little workout in, hit the wrestling room. It was cold outside. We did a cold plunge. We hopped in the pool. So the more things you can do to build that team camaraderie, have fun, and then make sure guys in it the whole time, I think that's why this season was successful for us.
Let me ask you this: like you mentioned about the retreat, it almost takes you back, and I know you ought to remember this movie. You might be young, but a lot of people who has been in this sport. They look at this movie so much, Vision Quest.
Vision Quest.
And is it so true about Vision Quest of what they do, what they go through? Can you take us through was the retreat kind of reminiscent to the movie on what they do and how the training goes and everything else for wrestlers to prepare for this? Because like you're talking about, one thing you mentioned was the fact that a lot of these guys can't really eat too much. They got to maintain weight and all that. Tell us about the whole program and how it's done, especially something to do with the retreat and the movie Vision Quest.
Yeah, so I'll break it back down. Movie Vision Quest is a great movie. It is old school, so I don't think we watched it this year. We watched it 2 years ago as a team. But they talk about extreme cutting weight. Nowadays, it's not as bad. There's a weight system put into play. The LHSAA manages to do track wrestling, so you can only lose up to 7% body fat, which is a lot. If a guy would say 45%, you cut down to 7% body fat, you would look like a whole new person. But it's for health, it's definitely a good thing for the sport, and it helps the sport also grow from the standpoint of it's more fun, right? You shouldn't be all about cutting weight, but we do manage the weight. I think that's a big thing too. And I think what that teaches, though, as long as it's done healthily, right? We get a sports nutritionist to put a diet together based on each person's weight, different things like that. You try to analyze, where this person could be successful and find their peak performance. But I think, you talk about vision quest, hard nosed. Wrestling's hard nosed, man. It's hard nosed, so it's not always fun. So as a coach, I try to always find things that make it fun, right? What are we doing? We go to a Florida trip. We did the retreat. It's not always serious, because if it's always serious, you're always stressed out. You're
Right.
always,
Yes.
and we don't always want that. We want to have fun. We want to build that team camaraderie. We want to build that family atmosphere. And so for us, we do a lot of different things that, 2 years ago, we went go-kart racing and Nova Motorsports. So we do a flag football tournament. We play games in the room all the time. So I think that's important. But if you look at, you brought that vision quest in. You got your boys shooting, running, and training. We definitely do that too. Like there's some intense stuff going on. We do something called conditioning games. We break the team in groups of 4 or 5. And we pick leaders in each group, and it's pretty torturous, man. I'll be honest with you. It pushes your mental psyche. So we do like in the room, or we do it outside too. But you do like jumps for distance, jumps for height, all these different things. But in a relay process, buddy carries, in your wrestling stance, can't come out your stance for long, elongated times. But what that does is now you build a leadership amongst your team, because the team that comes last, now you got suicides. So right now you're running back and forth. So now you got them getting a little gritty with each other, which is always a positive. But it's also building that leadership, and it's building that mental toughness. And I'm yelling, I'm coaching the whole time. I know it's hard, you know what I'm saying? Grind it out, grind it out.
Right.
So if you getting on them and you feeding them positive affirmation too, I think that's big, right? Sometimes you got to knock them down a little bit when they get cocky. But as long as you picking your kids back up and showing them that, you love them. They're gonna run through a wall for you, and I think that's really, you look at Vision Quest, love for the sport, things love for the team, love for the family.
And that's unbelievable, and not too many coaches take that. I think a lot of coaches take that approach now. The old school coaches, they do what they do, but the new school, they understand it's a new generation of kids. They're not the hardcore type of people that we can take the stuff that coaches used to dish to us. But now it's like, okay, they come from different backgrounds. They're not the same backgrounds. And you got to really mix it up to try to have them to buy in from the jump.
Absolutely. You're 100% right. You nailed it. You have to evolve, right? That's why you look at these coaches who are successful. You look at like your Nick Saban at the college football level. You look at your Belichick. They've been able to coach Hank Tierney, who's on campus.
Yes.
He's been successful because he's been able to evolve. You have to evolve with the different types of kids you get, whether that's schematic or mental mindset, right? How do you get the most out of it?
You talked about the things you did with your team in order to persevere to finally get the state championship. In your case, you played football here. You're part of those run-up teams for Shaw. Wrestling, same thing. You do have a state championship in 2009. As an assistant and as a head coach, you finished second. For you, how does that help you? How can you relate to your players for being in that type of situation?
I think sometimes they may take it for granted how hard it is to win one. When you look at how long, and that's why I brought up the alumni that laid the foundation, right? We've had some really, really good teams that haven't won. This was not our best team at all. We just were in the right spot, right time. We worked hard. We had faith, and we fought through with the fortitude aspect of it. But as far as going and grinding it out and being here and being so close, like my junior year, we took second. We barely lost to Northside High School. Northside High School at that time was a powerhouse. Who came from Northside High School? Daniel Cormier.
Yes,
right?
that's
Who
right.
came from Northside High School? Dustin Poirier. So you looking at a factory out there in Lafayette at the time. And they weren't at the high point at the time, but they were still really good. So you look at teams like that. We lost the Holy Cross one year. That was some messed up calls. You know, we still gonna talk about the referees and that one. But hey, we took second my senior year, and so it kind of stuck with me. And at the time, I'll be honest, I didn't definitely had a chip on my shoulder about it. And I didn't think I would ever come back and do this, but I think it always motivated me to, hey man, let's get one. Let's get one for everybody that ever came through these halls and you know, put their mind, put their body, put their spirit into all this. And so it was very fulfilling, but it was definitely a process. I don't think too many people understand, you know, especially last year when we graduate, like I told you, that list of wrestlers we just had, and it was studs, man. Like we beat Jesuit 2 years ago, we beat Catholic last year for the first time in school history. Those are schools that are 3-4 times bigger than us.
Mm-hmm.
So for us to finally do that, after 20-something years, we've never beaten Catholic, we beat Catholic. And then you graduate, half your team that does it, and for us to win one was big. You know, it was definitely relieving for me, I'll be honest with you. And even like, you know, one of the Crescent City sports reporters asked me after the state tournament, how you feel? I said, man, I just want to get my trophy, get on the bus. I don't want them to do a recount. I don't want them to miss any points. You know, let's get on the bus and get out of here and get back over to the West Bank. Yeah.
So, going into the state tournament, what were some of your game planning and strategy sessions that went on during that time that led you to securing the state championship?
So yeah, we preach adversity a lot. You're gonna have adverse situations in life. So our biggest thing is we prepare you for life. But so going to the state tournament, we put ourselves in position. We pushed ourselves. We dug a little deeper, and you know, we did a little more sprints at the end of the practice. But we also took off some of the grinded out stuff too at times. You want to peak at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And focused on mentally, all right, what matchups do we have coming down the stretch? If we're going to be the 1 seed here, who's the 4 seed? If we're going to be the 3 seed, who's the 6 seed? Let's get some film on them. And all year we did a really good job as a coaching staff of being able to send different people to different spots. Like, I got the best assistants in the state. I love my guys. Conrad Wire, Glenn Price, Martin Garrett, Mike London, Mark Woodson. They did a phenomenal job of being able to scout with me and being able to go and seek opponents and get film on them, and we bring it back in-house and we analyze, you know, this kid's stepping hard here. If you push this kid real hard in the third period, he's tired, you know? So we were able to analyze a lot of different things like that, all the way. I mean, I'll break it down to this. Going into day 2 of the state tournament, we were down by 11 points to Brazil, who won the last 4 state championships. And I think one of the big things that made an impact for us was in the semifinals. That night before, we sit at the hotel, and we made every kid come in the room, and our coaching staff had their laptops out, our Surface Pros out. You sit down right here, we watch a film of this opponent. We had already watched film, but we had film from the state tournament through the track wrestling program. Every match is filmed. So we analyzed everything. How's this kid looking this weekend? We won 2-3 matches in, and we were able to dissect, he's a right foot lead, he's a left foot lead, and different things like that, that really, I think, that's kind of what it came down to, knowing your opponent, feeling comfortable, with no surprises. We knew what was, you know, what to expect in a lot of the matches, and I think that really helped us out.
Now, first of all, before you go further, Jerry, can you explain to our audience, and some of our audience are more on the football side, basketball side type of thing and everything. Some might watch professional wrestling like some of us do, but can you explain a little bit about the process and how a wrestling match is, especially regular or championship, but is it 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, overtime? Tell us about that process.
Absolutely. So you got 3 2-minute periods. So and after, so if you're gonna take down somebody, that's 2 points. If that person gets away, that's a point. If you get just an escape, you escape from them. If you reverse a person, so if you're on bottom, you can take it in and reverse somebody, meaning that there's no escape. You didn't escape their grasp, but all of a sudden you're in control, you get 2 points. The near fall system is if you got somebody exposed 45 degrees, 3 or more seconds, or 5 or more seconds, you get 3 points. 2 or more seconds and you get 2 points. And if you pin somebody, it doesn't matter whether you winning or losing or whatever the case may be, you pin them, that's over. It's like knocking somebody out, right? You're in a fight, you knock somebody out.
Yes.
And so that's kind of how that works. I think if we talk about different things, You know, you brought up football, basketball, all those different sports. So one of the things that really helped us too, Coach Hank on staff has been great. He's pushing a lot of guys to wrestle. He understands like the discipline. We're gonna talk about that a little bit with wrestling, right? The management. So if you gotta lose, say, 10 pounds and you trim up a little bit, what does that teach you though? It teaches you discipline. It teaches you self-control, which you need on the field when you get angry and you want to hit somebody late or all that stuff. Accountability is the other aspect. The big thing about wrestling is it's a team sport, right? We win a team state championship, but everybody's got to do their individual job. And it takes accountability though, because you can't say, all right, man, your boy did holding penalty in the second quarter, that's what hurts. Or, oh man, I played well, but the receiver dropped the ball. Or he missed the pass, or whatever it may be. Like, no man, you out there with another dude. You know, you gotta take the referee out of it, you know, and it's on you. And so it does make them think a little harder. I think push a little harder in different aspects. It's definitely a little more nerve-wracking because all the eyes are on you. You're not you out there on an island. It's like, you know, you go ISO offense. Here you go, you know. So either you'll get dunked on or block your shot, but it's coming.
So with that, have you ever seen a situation, maybe in your time coaching or when you wrestle, where a certain wrestler is up big, doing well, could win the match, could put it away,
right.
Then all of a sudden somebody comes out of nowhere and just handles business and all of a sudden causes a pin and that's it? Big, huge comeback. Have you ever seen that in wrestling?
Yeah. So I'll break it back to this year. So Mason Wilson, I don't know if you know Mason Wilson.
Yes.
He's a backup quarterback on the football team, start receiver. He's potentially a starting quarterback if he handles his business this spring and off season for next year's football team. His older brother Zaylin wrestled for me, state runner-up. Well, this year Mason, he's getting out of football season and he's a little more chubby, right? He's got that football fluff on him and. He's a little more in football shape, not in wrestling shape. And so he's kind of out of breath, but he's getting beat down pretty bad. It's 14-0. And so I'm mauling him from the side, mauling him. And next thing you know, he pins this kid losing 14-0. And so what does that teach you as a young man? At that point, though, I knew Mason was all in. It taught him, all right, as long as I don't give up, even when I get tired, if I don't give up, anything can happen, right? So that shows you had an adverse situation. You fought through that. That's what I pulled him on side. So I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you as a young man.
I know you gave him a big hug.
Big old hug, yeah.
That's coming back from adversity right there.
Yep. And that's what it's about, right?
Definitely. Let's talk about your freshman. And if I say his name wrong, correct me, please. Caden Judas?
Caden Judas, yep, that's him. So he is a kids club guy. He wrestled his whole life pretty much. He's like a 6, 7, 8-time kids club state champ. He's been on the circuit for a while now. Phenomenal little freshman. We're working on putting some size on him this off season. Not sure what we'll put him at next year weight class wise, but I need to put some more muscle on him. But technique wise, he is slick. He's one of the most technical guys in the state of Louisiana as a freshman. So he's got 3 more years left that could be really beautiful.
He won state champion this year, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he pinned everyone under a minute total? Is that correct?
That is, I think it was like 1 minute and 17 seconds. He had 4 matches with a total of 1 minute and 17 seconds. We won a Division III, so we won the small school state championship, but he was a guy who would have won the Division I 5A state championship as a freshman. We don't really get many kids like that so far through our program, but Glenn Price was a guy who's that caliber, and now Caden's the next one up. So we're looking to continue to mold him and get him a good wrestling career, win a bunch of state championships, get the young man to college, get him a full ride, right?
Yes, sir, definitely.
And he's a small kid too. He's a 4.2, 4.3 GPA.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Great.
That's awesome. Talk about the foundation of this wrestling program. Like you was a part of the 2003 and everything else, but also how the foundation has been forward. You looked at, we talked about Caden, we talked about Glenn Price, was very impressive that I seen last season. But also you look at Ashton Surrency and also Jason Bush. I remembered him because they had a big old article about this guy, and I was like, Shaw got wrestling? And that would shock me. So I was like, okay, so what you think about the foundation, did they expand that foundation that was started way back in 2002, 2003?
Yeah, so like I said, we had some guys come through that are really successful. So we had it for a while, and it lingered a little bit, and we picked it back up. And some of the people who had success, so Ashton's my little brother, Brandon Surrency, and so he kind of got me in it, man. I was just graduating high school. He's 5 years old, a lot younger than me. So we get to rolling around. He wants to wrestle, and he was a big part of me doing this. I got an MBA from Southeastern. I was working for Coca-Cola at the time. I did not see myself doing this. My dad calls me up, says, "Hey man, your little brother's wrestling. You need to come back to Shaw." I call Paul Hattie up, who's the head coach at the time, one of my good buddies. Hop on, yeah, I'd love to have you. So we kind of built it from that. So he was the first one that had experience coming into the club. So he helped out with like the development of Glenn Price, getting to wrestle with him every day. Actually was a year older. So you got to wrestle with him every day. You got a Raheem Barnett, he's on the wall right here. He was the first outstanding wrestler in the state, which is like the MVP award. So we had Jude Monaco, ended up being a 2-time state champ. Jason Bush was another big one. He was that COVID year, man. So he actually cut from 330 pounds. So the football coach wanted him really big, which I was a little against. I didn't want him that big. But getting at 285, he could move. He was able to really move, and he had energy. So he was a force at 285 pounds. And so his actual first tournament was a state tournament. He was the 4 seed because he took 6th the year prior. And in that state, he came out and beat a Karen Crow kid in overtime. And he grinded it out, though. But it taught discipline for Jason, right? You losing all that weight. It taught accountability. And it's a lot of things that translate from football to wrestling. You talk about your big boys, your offensive line, your defensive line, all your hand fighting's right there. Where do you learn leverage at, right? Your linebackers, all your tackling skills, your receivers, you're talking about blocking all day.
That's right.
So I think a lot of things translate, and Jason was able to do that here in football as well. He picked up some wrestling stuff. He brought some football work. Football players are tough, right?
Yes,
some of the toughest guys. So you get some guys that are competitive too, and like Jason, competitive guy. Nigel Whitehead last year, another one. Came out, Chad Gooden playing at Northwestern now. He took 3rd place for us at state as well. So anytime you can get athletes in the room that are willing to learn, that are smart kids, that understand that, hey, no matter what, if I just get back up. It don't matter if I start this season 0-20. If I can come back out and not give up, I'm gonna be successful. And that's really life, right? You might get punched in the mouth sometimes.
That's right.
But you get back up, you're gonna be all right.
Now talk about the atmosphere here that you bring here at Archbishop Shaw more than anything else. We talked about this before then. You talked about we have to make this fun. Like you said, how you changed everything up when you took over and felt like, hey, we need to make this almost WWE-ish or pro wrestling. Yeah. But how you implement that atmosphere, but not just that, how you kind of teach a little bit about the professional wrestling part, and can you tell us the difference a little bit?
Yeah, so we do a lot of the swagger stuff, right? You gotta have a little swag when you come in. And so wrestling isn't as big in the South. It's more of a northern sport. It snows outside up north. So basketball and wrestling are 2 sports that really flourish. Baseball flourishes down here, right? It's an outside sport. Look, it feels great outside. We play some baseball. Football, obviously, #1 down here. So what you got to do is you can't just come wrestle. You got a bunch of first generation guys. Like you got to think we started in 01. It's not like my dad wrestled here and there. No, it's you the first one. So you got to convince people, but you got to show them how it adds value, right? Wrestling. If you talk about the pro. Like if you look at UFC, check the UFC out for just an example. You got guys who can defend themselves. Like you don't want to see in the ballroom messed up, all this different stuff, right? You want to be able to defend yourself, and so. It adds value in that avenue to a lot of guys, and you got a lot of these small dudes in here, and then even your bigger boys that want to learn all this stuff. So if they feel comfortable if they end up having to defend themselves at some point in life. Yeah. So you explain that to people, and they see value, right?
That's right.
And so that's some of the value. But what you do to make it fun is like I'll tell you talking about WWE stuff, right? I'll tell you how we tied this in. Right. So when I was in high school, you go to a lot of these dual meets. Even now, I go to some of the schools, and it's 25 people in the stands, 40 people. No, we want a crowd. We want to make it fun. We're gonna come out here and work real hard like this every day. We want to have people in the stands support us. We want to be able to see a big crowd. We want to make it fun when people understand it and get into it. So a lot of props to Tommy Trahan, Hall of Famer. I think number 4 in Shaw history, national championship cheerleading coach. I first got in a call with Coach Tom. I said, Coach Tom, we need to spice it up. I need to get some cheerleaders. All right, you got cheerleaders doing meets. All right, we're looking at it. Well, we got to have walkout music. So we got some walkout music that the kids come out to. Tommy Trahan's the MC of it too, the voice of the Eagles, right? So he calls all the stuff. He introduces them, gives them their records, different things like that when they're coming out. And so I think it also makes it intimidating for another team to come in here and win. Not everybody's doing that. So we had the CO2 tanks shooting out.
Nice.
I tell you, my first year, this is a funny one. My first ever dual meet as a head coach. We wrestled in Noma, and I didn't know any better at the time. And the fog machine, we set it off. We had a fog machine. We set it off in the equipment room, and so we had to evacuate the whole building. 0-0, I thought I was getting fired after that one. Dr. Mark Williams called me up. Why the fire department out here? So, but you got to take risks and do those things. You got to make it fun. You got to have fun with it.
I love it. It's just the fact that, that's the biggest thing now you look at is I understand now with the walk-up music, the entrances and stuff. You see it in professional wrestling. You see it now. You see it a lot in baseball because you see a lot because they want to pick a particular song they walk into, and in UFC, it's unbelievable because you want to, like, I talked with one of my guys that I called games for Nunez, and it's funny because he had a nice little walk-up thing last season. This season, his walk-up song, he walks to On and On by Erykah Badu, and I was like, I understand you're trying to go smooth. You need to change it because that is not. You need something intimidating, and because some of the coaches like, well, they got cursing up. They have clean versions of the songs. Listen to the chorus because it is motivating, So it's awesome how you want to get the individual in there, but give them confidence when they come out. So that's awesome, like that, Coach.
Thank you.
Back in September, you and I talked, and you told me you want physical, tough kids on your wrestling team. Why is that so important to have?
So it's a hard sport. So you really want your mentally tough kids. You want physical kids because you're gonna fall into adverse situations. So sometimes you're a hammer, sometimes you're a nail, right? That's a part of life. It's a part of the sport of wrestling. So you obviously rather be the hammer, right? But at points you're gonna be the nail. And so how do you get to be the hammer? You got to be physical. You got to be tough, right? I'm not asking you to be the slickest guy in the room, but if you got some physical toughness and some mental fortitude, I could teach you some moves and we could make it really, really good. But if you got that foundation, that's what separates the good from the great, right? Like if you look at the guys like Glenn Price, he was tough. Ashton was tough. Raheem Barnett was tough. Jude Monaco, they were naturally tough kids. And when they were challenged, they didn't back down. They didn't care if they were an 8th grader and a senior was messing with them in the room. They were coming at them. And you miss all the shots you don't take, so you better be a little aggressive in the sport. We teach aggressive. We like to call it the most controlled chaos. We don't want to ever start a match when you're circling outside the mat. We want to be going forward and moving strategically forward.
It's basically a no fear type of thing, more than anything else. Just to instill your kids like, I don't care if he's bigger than you. You can beat him.
Yep.
Go at him now. So, that's a really good thing. I want to ask you this, like, over the years, that you've been here for a little while now.
Yeah, I'm getting old.
Yeah, I said that. No, you young. You younger than we are. You know what I'm saying? He finished in the late 90s. I finished in 97. We older than you. We get kid age. But regardless of the fact, which guy you can say over the years that it's kind of a two-part. Give me one guy that's probably one of your best wrestlers that you have ever coached, and give me one guy that can be a WWE superstar or a professional wrestler that can really do a good job. Because there's a lot going on in professional wrestling outside the training and all that stuff. It's always some kind of a script or something they got to follow or something that they do with the wrestler every time they go into a match.
All right, so you got, if I'm going to say best wrestler, I'm going to have to say Glenn Price, 4 state championships, All-American. I'm going to have to say superstar mentality, attitude, flashy, life of the party, somebody that, you know, is entertaining to watch. I got to go with 2 guys, but first one I'm going to go with Nigel Whitehead. Nigel Whitehead was an absolute character. He's my boy. Like, he was fun to coach. He brought energy. Jude Monaco was the same way. Jude Monaco, even as a freshman, I had to pull him back because he's, you know, jarring back and forth with another kid, right? He had attitude. He had some toughness about him. He had some swagger. I think Ashton Surrency, my little brother, probably, if you look at the MMA, he did that a little bit. He's won a couple of jiu-jitsu tournaments. Mm-hmm. So I think he's probably the guy you talked about, UFC, MMA background.
Awesome. Now, the direction of this program, like, I tell you one thing. What are your thoughts on this state championship and also the success of the Shaw football program back on the map with Hank Terry, and then how Coach Lauren Dean is getting things together with basketball, semifinal appearances, the baseball program? It seems like things are starting to come back. What are your thoughts on the direction of Shaw Athletics and also Archbishop Shaw High School itself, because it seems like the attendance is starting to go up?
You stole my last question, but that's okay.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
So yeah, no, I think we have a great leadership team right now. I think administration is understanding what's important, right? First, God first, family second, and then you want to, you know, what's your extracurricular? What are you doing to stay busy? What are you doing to grow as a person? One of the things we understand here at Archbishop Shaw is 21st century learning, and that's, if you look at that, it's a lot of hands-on. And that's in the classroom and some of our class activities. We do projects, different things like that, to where it's not just taking notes. It's not, give me the definition of something. If you just want the definition of something, well, that doesn't translate to the real world. Mm-hmm. And so we want you to be able to actually do it. And so we put a big emphasis on that academically, but athletics, we have, you know, we're kind of flourishing right now. And we're getting back. If you look at Shaw in the last 10 years, we haven't had much success. It was rough. It was the dark days, we'll call it, right? I've seen you in plenty of them stands and guess what that head down.
Yes, you had.
You over here on the other side yelling "Go Purple Knights," all this stuff. You know, we hear y'all band all the lines. We had some rough days. Let's not, you know, it was some rainy days.
It were, and at one time, you know, to be honest, I kind of felt sorry for Archbishop Shaw, because I remembered the days,
the glory days,
when they were winning, and even regardless, when we competed against them, it was war. And then after it was over, because I knew people that were related, people I'm friends with to this day, we dapping off. We like during the game, we knew right then and there, it was war for 4 quarters. It was war. When it was over, we shook hands, we hugged, we cooled. And that's what it was, you know what I'm saying? And I'm glad and I'm happy to see Archbishop Shaw getting back on the map, everything else. But we'll go ahead and continue. But I really see the progress.
That's what I was saying though. Like you said, it sucked for a little while. We went through some dark days. Went through that rain patch. So we're finally on the opposite side, you know. And like I said, Coach Hank coming back, and they had a great season this year. They won a district championship. That's big. It's great for culture.
Yes.
It's great for culture. Wrestling, we took second last year, won a state championship this year. That's big. Coach Wes Laurendine doing a great job with the basketball program. 2 straight Final Four appearances.
Yes.
He had a great game plan against what Madison Prep did.
Great plan.
Slowed him down. I mean, look, Peabody beat Madison Prep in the finals, right?
No, it's called
Carver. That's right, Carver. Yeah. But they implemented a lot of that zone coverage.
Yeah, they
Coach
did.
Coach Laurendine put in that nobody could figure out all year at Madison Prep. So if you look at it, I think, you know, this is a great place to be. Coach Chad Foray is doing a great job with the baseball program. They started to take off right now. They're a young team, but I do find them, I think they win a district this year, and they're going to make a deep playoff run. Soccer team, they did well this year. We're continuing to build that one up. Coach Marchese, an alumnus as well. So I think our lacrosse team, we started a lacrosse team as well. Coach Ray Davis doing a great job. They made the state semifinals last year. So we're flourishing as a school at the right time. I think a lot of it's to do with Father Steve, Mr. Marchese is that leadership team, and kind of pointing us in the right direction and giving us the tools to be successful, right? And making sure we hold, all of our programs hold our students accountable as far as we want you to be good people. We want you to have strong academics. We don't want this to just be a come here and play football and, you don't have no path after. Come here and wrestle and then you're going to go do whatever. No, we're really trying to make the whole person and get those young men to college. We just had our first Jason Brown Jr. He was actually nominated Scholar All-American for the wrestling season. He's a 4.6 GPA, 35 on the ACT, 4-sport athlete, football, wrestling, lacrosse, swimming, in every club on campus. Nice. So when you look at it, we are building that whole person. We want you to go be successful in life and whatever path that is for you.
Now, where the success is going right now, Shaw, and everything else, do you see, here's the thing, this is whatever you think, do you see Shaw staying as a 4A school or coming back to compete in the Catholic? Because I feel like more than anything else, this is the most success Shaw has had in a long time. And then on top of that, and me and Jerry talked about this, the biggest example is De La Salle. They was in the Caddy League, they left, they've been successful since they left and never came back to the Caddy, and they choose not to. But I know Shaw will eventually, but do you think they can stay in the lower classification for a long time?
I think we talk about, that's an economical question more than anything. So we were playing a Catholic League with 390 kids, 370 kids. So we're up to 420 right now. We've actually put a cap limit on our freshman class. We have 125 kids in a freshman class. Our 8th grade class right now has, I think, 112. So our numbers are up when you compare that to your junior and senior level class. Our senior class only has 59 kids right now. Our junior class is 60. So we're on the cusp of winning, right? And that's going to help continue to grow enrollment. So I think we're still well below Catholic League numbers. We've been electing to play up pretty much as a 3A school. And so I think that hurt us. We'll continue to manage that year after year. But I think as long as we're having success and our numbers are building, we'll go back to the Catholic League. Not this cycle, but maybe a cycle later on. But I think we want to continue to grow our numbers up because what happens is your sports need depth. Your basketball program and baseball, it's a little different. It's not as physical sports. And you only need, 6, 7, 8 guys in a basketball team to find them. You can find 8 guys in a school with 450 kids and go compete with a school with 1,500 consistently, right? For football, it's a little different. You got 22 starters. By week 8, how many of your starters are out? Who's your backup? That's right. Where some of these schools have 50-year guys who are backups, and we're starting 8th graders. So I think it's not the 1A that we always worried about. It's that backup. It's having that depth. It's having the ability to continue to build programs up here. So we're in a very early stage of building the programs. I do not see us going up in 2 years, but potentially on that 4th year or that sixth year, I can see us definitely going back to the Catholic.
I like that. It sounds like a really good move for the school and everything else. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I don't want to see Shaw back in the Caddy League. I would like Shaw to continue to success because, for what De La Salle did was probably one of the smartest things they ever done. Because it's the fact, look how many state champions they have won in each sport. And it's amazing for that to happen. So, there's going to be a time, but knowing the pride of Archbishop Shaw, they're eventually going to get back to the Caddy League. But it's good to have some kind of success. But then, like you said, get the numbers up, and then, okay, we can compete.
Yeah, it's a numbers game, and so it's the same thing. I wonder why some of the other schools don't. Turtles Catholic, they've been winning in wrestling. I'll use them as an example. They beat us in football this past year. They had a bunch of seniors. But they actually have a cap where they stay with, we don't want to be a 5A school. We want to be a 4A school. We're co-ed. We're staying right here. This is all we accept. So you do have schools that put those things into play. I wonder, Holy Cross. I know it's a big pride thing for them, but what success have they had lately? They're struggling right now. Holy Cross is a school that's struggling.
Right.
If they played in enrollment, they'd be in the same district as us.
Mhm.
Which is another
Yeah.
Catholic League school. I'd love to see it. You know, somebody with
Definitely.
a rich tradition.
And I thought that was going to happen, and it didn't. You know, because there would have been a small move, talking with a couple of officials from Holy Cross, but it didn't happen for them to stay in the category, and even in the playoffs, to still be in Division 1 instead of 4. You know, instead of 2 or whatever. So you know, but I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? That you need to go down to it's one in competition, 2 to build up your numbers. You know, you got to have some kind of success for kids to come to the school.
And it's not like a lot of people say, you know, like y'all playing down. No, we're not playing down. We're playing where our enrollment lies. Like let's establish that.
right.
We're just not playing up.
Exactly.
We are playing where our opponent, you know, where we actually align with schools with similar enrollments. And I think that's what's important. Because you know, even your boys over there at AUG, you know, we can talk about that one too, man.
Well, I tell you, like St. Aug's enrollment, it's like up and down, but they're continuing to thrive and everything.
And they're having success.
And they're having success, plus they're continuing to have, even regardless of enrollment, they're still getting high numbers in athletics, with especially football getting the numbers and everything else. You know, I know wrestling's gonna have to be the next thing to get numbers up. Baseball has had a good bit of numbers. It's just the fact of now trying to turn the tide to have a more winning consistently kind of thing in the Catholic League, because that's the toughest district out of
Cream
all
of the
districts
crop.
in baseball.
Absolutely.
Exactly, besides the Lake Charles area, who's really tough in baseball. So it's just the fact of the matter is the enrollment has just been up and down, but at a good level, but high participation.
And I think this too, and you can give me a little bit more, but like St. Aug's a great band. So they always get a huge chunk of young men in band, which is great.
I think
but
this was
do
like-
you think that hinders athletics at all?
No.
No? So that feeds
Not at
in?
all.
Okay.
Not at all. It feeds in.
That's awesome.
Because like this year, they probably might have had the biggest enrollment, like the biggest participation ever for band.
Okay.
Because they usually average 110, 120. I think they had 130 this year. So the band, it don't hamper athletics.
It feeds in. That's
It feeds
good.
in because
That's awesome.
there's many stories, and I don't know if you heard of the story of Derek Rogers a long time ago that played for the Miami Dolphins, played for Arizona State. He was at St. Augustine. He was in the band.
Okay.
So all of a sudden he was out there playing flag football. I think he was in the Army or something, in the Armed Forces, and he played so good. He said, "I'm gonna try it out." He walked on at Arizona State, made the team, and all I'm gonna tell you, if anybody watching, go back and look at Nebraska, Arizona State. I forgot the year. It's somewhere around the 2000s. Go back and watch that. Derek Rogers almost basically beat Nebraska by himself. So
Put him on his back, huh?
yeah, and that would really catapulted him to be a consistent player and to become a star in the NFL.
They had some guys, Leonard Fournette too.
Fournette, yeah, he was
Tyrann.
Tyrann Matthew, a lot of good ones.
Mm-hmm.
They turned out okay in the league. Like Fournette was not bad in the league, you know, but now they're getting older, and it's just the fact there's been all type of.
So let me ask you this. Yeah, y'all have it from a professional standpoint. We look at ESPN, right?
Yes.
So we got Ryan Clark. Y'all got?
Stand correct.
Yeah, stand right.
Here's the thing about Ryan Clark. Me and him graduated together the same year, 97. And I hope Ryan Clark's watching. And I'm like this. He was on my pod. I had a podcast years and years ago called the VK Jones Show.
Okay.
He comes on. Oh, he talks about we beat St. Aug 1997 for the state championship and stuff like that. And he don't realize from 93 to 97, St. Aug and Shaw played 5 times. Twice in 95, our junior year. St. Aug beat them twice. We beat Shaw 93, 42-14. Chucky Paquette was a senior. So the record is 3-2. So I have a winning record against Ryan Clark. Love you, brother. You know what I'm saying? Well, but see, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with having that. Brandon got the state ring. He played with my first cousin. I seen the ring. It's cool. It's all cool. But you know your natural sport, brother.
You know it's not cool though? You know it's not cool?
What's that?
I'm not going to say his name, but he's going to be watching.
Yeah.
There's a Shaw basketball legend
Uh-oh.
whose son is going to St. Aug to being a bang. That's what I said too, man.
It
That killed me,
It
man.
hurts my heart.
You are a Shaw basketball legend.
Welcome to the family, baby.
You are.
We're gonna talk after.
Welcome to the family.
Oh man.
But at the same time, we convert everybody.
Oh,
You could be a Shaw Eagle, a former Rumble Raider, Carver Ram. You want to bring your son to St. Aug? That's fine. Welcome to the family. We'll take
Number
you.
one, we on Shaw campus. We're not going to St. Aug. We coming here.
This is Shaw. This is a Shaw interview, so we're gonna keep it professional as possible. But regardless of the fact, I got number love for Ryan Clark. Personally, I'm proud of this man. Me and him talked before about the business and everything, and I told him before, I'm like, if you have the ability to talk, and it seemed like he was a good talker, I said, bro, you can do this in the off season. You can do this after your career is over. And now with him blowing up ESPN, got the Pivot podcast that's blowing up. Hey man, you should have me on the Pivot, man. I've been in this business a long time, bro. I would like to talk to you, Shannon and Fred Taylor. It'll be big for VK Jones and have Jared JB right on side me, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm proud of Ryan Clark of what he has done over his career, not just NFL wise, but also in media, but also how he's taking care of his family. He's got a son right now at Arizona State that is killing it.
Coach, I want to talk about two meets.
Okay.
First meet, January 4th, De La Salle. De La Salle has the most individual state champions this year. You guys went there and beat them. Talk about that meet.
Yeah, so preseason, I'll be honest, I was looking at Basile and De La Salle to win. I knew we were kind of a dark horse coming in, but we were able to kind of put some things together. We watched film on them, we put some game plans together, we made sure we got kids in the right weight classes. We were able to pull one out on them. But that was also a dual meet when Raymond Howard started heavyweight, started left tackle on the football team. So we found out, so he tore his labrum during football season 2 years ago. Played through it, tough kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tough kid.
Right.
Played through it, grinded it out. It popped out this past year in a Rumble game. And then in the De La Salle dual meet, coming in the last match. If Raymond wins, we win. And pops out, we make eye contact, and I'm like, man, that's when that happened. And as we started looking, we checking him out. And, I'll show you how tough the kid is. Kid gets back up. Coach, I want to win the dual meet. Pops it back in. Gets a shoulder brace on. Pins the kid from De La Salle. Wins the dual meet for Shaw. Takes him the next month and a half off. Kind of just does cardio. We know what we got. Torn labrum, right? Comes out, gets second in the state tournament, battles through, and helps us win a state championship. So that's the mental stuff we talked about earlier.
That's right.
We laid that
That's
back
right.
through.
Yes.
So as a coach, I know Coach Biomonte does a lot with the offensive line. His dad's a good dad too, so I think he stays on him too. And his mama too. So you got a good family background, right? So things you talk about that kind of keep them kids going. Like Raymond's gonna go be successful in anything in life.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But I think a lot of it at this age is so important that you coach these athletes right, not just on winning and losing, but getting back up when you get knocked down, continue to fight through the adversity that you want to go through.
January 7th, you went to Brazil. You beat Brazil for the state championship by a couple points.
Yeah.
But you went to their place and beat them by 60.
Yeah.
Did you know then that you guys had a great shot to be state champions?
Yeah, so we put 60. It was 60-24 was the final score.
Okay.
So at that point, they won 4 in a row, and we were kind of, a team that took second last year and graduated everybody, right? That's kind of what we're looking at. It's what everybody's saying. Oh, Shaw's going to take third. After we beat De La Salle, we got Brazil. And one of the things that happened in that dual meet was we just turned it on. Our guys were all excited to be out there. They weren't afraid of Brazil, and I think when teams win that many times, it talks about you get a little intimidated by it. And our guys didn't back down. I felt like we would do good after that, right? We talk about, you play Shaw, you get the green fever, right? You play St. Aug, you got purple fever, and all these different things where it's psychological in these kids' heads. And we did a really good job of giving that faith, right? You can beat these dudes. We're going to beat these dudes. And so that was the difference in the dual meet. We beat them pretty good, but then at the actual tournament, we went 6-2 against them in 8 times that we paired up. But we only beat them by 2.5 points, meaning that a lot of the other state was so used to them winning. They won 4 in a row that when they got hard, Brazil was used to winning. In them other schools, a lot of times, you look at that You know, back in the day when I was coming up, it was the J on your chest. You know, you get the big Jesuit J. Everybody Jesuit got a great wrestling program. They won like 15 in a row. Well, that's what it was for this year in Division 3. You got Brazil, right? They won 4 in a row. So a lot of times, it was like, man, they were just scared to wrestle them when we didn't really care. You know, we talk about toughness, West Bank toughness.
That's right.
Kids over here
that's absolutely.
and we ain't scared of you. Like, we hit you with our best shot. And so I think that played out in our favor big time. But because of, you know, the lack of I guess confidence in some of the other teams, that was a big point of why that state tournament was so close. It really freaked me out. We were down, like I said, day 2, down by 11 points.
Yeah.
The team we beat 60-24, you know, head to head.
Yeah.
It definitely had me on the edge of my seat watching every match. I was sweating, man.
But at the same time, that's an unbelievable great moment. I've seen some great moments the last couple of years in certain sports where a team plays just so much no fear, no intimidation. Like we've seen that in the state championships this year with Catholic beating Scotlandville. I mean, beat them at their own game and took them out. And then Carver doing what they did against Madison Prep, and a year ago seeing what Hannon did to Liberty. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? The shocking moments and stuff like that. You know, but it shows that, you know, if you go against it, like the line said in I believe it was Creed 2, the team that plays, you know, with nothing to lose, they're dangerous.
Yes.
They're dangerous. So it seemed like y'all was more dangerous because you had nothing to lose.
Correct.
It's almost like, hey, you won 4 state titles. Hey, we won't get off first, so we ain't scared at all. You know what I'm saying? So
you're 100% right.
I love to see performances. I love it when, like, I'm an underdog guy, and I love when the underdog. Like, you got the Final Four this weekend. You got 3 unknowns. Like, we know the blue blood, but 3 unknowns that are in the Final Four. I love blue blood. He's like in baseball. He's a Yankees fan. I'm a Braves fan. All we got is what, 2 world titles? So here's just the fact, hey, we make it, hey, you know what I'm saying? What's up? You know, that kind of thing, you know, but.
So yeah, I'll add to that then. So this year we had a kid at 138 pounds, Carson Dalton. Undersized at 138 pounds. He really only weighs about 135 pounds. Most kids come from probably 145, 150 for the state tournament to compete at 138. So Carson has a tumultuous season, I'm going to call it that. Losing record during the season. Like 21-22, very 500. You got a losing record, you can't get seeded to the state tournament. Now he's dangerous though, we talked about he's dangerous. He beat the 6 seed before the state, but he couldn't get seeded out of him because he had a losing record. So we come to the state tournament and, you know, he's a little upset about it. Like, no, I get it. Oh, well, you got a chip on your shoulder. You ain't got nothing to lose then, right?
That's right.
You got his dad, John Dalton, class of '92 as well, played football here, went to Rhodes College, Dalton Architects down the street. So good family is what I'm saying is, so as a coach, when you support that and your parents support that too, you're able to build on it together to where the kids get positive, you know, feedback. Hey, look, it doesn't matter what you seeded. The seeds don't matter. You're going to come in here and wrestle. You're going to give it y'all, beat a wild card. Go out in here and beat somebody. So the first match, off day 1, he wrestled the 2 seed. Guess what? Pulls the upset, beats the 2 seed first match.
Wow.
Right? Makes a statement. So we, all right, cool. So that's first match. We get to the quarterfinals. There's that 6 seed. All right, let's beat him this time. We beat him again, right? So we beat the 6 seed. So then the 3 seed was a kid from De La Salle. Beat us twice already. It was 2-0 against us. We watched film, we analyzed as a coach. I don't know what's about to happen, you know? Beat us in the De La Salle doing me. So I'm like, all right, let's see. Carson pulls it out, wins in the semis.
Wow.
You know, and so an unseeded kid, he ended up losing in the finals as, you know, junior this year, so he'll be a senior next year, but loses in the state finals. But that's a kid who wasn't, you know, it was a wild card. He wasn't seeded at all, and he ended up taking 2nd place. And but it goes again with the whole faith thing, right?
Exactly.
Having faith, not being scared just because, oh, this guy's the 1, this guy's the 2 seed. No, let's go at him. And so I was very proud of him. You talk about an underdog, a Cinderella type story. And that was ours this year. That really propelled us to win the state championship.
Coach Surrency, we will get you out of here on this last question. You're losing 4 seniors. Now that may sound like a lot, but the year before you lost 8 seniors. How bright is the future of Shaw wrestling?
It's in a great spot. So when you're building a wrestling program, it's in South Louisiana. It's not at the parks. It's not at Kings Grant. It's not at Pard. It's not at Miley. It's not at Johnny Jacobs. So you got to build it organically. So in this room, actually, what we do is we have a kids club program Monday through Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. when we get a bunch of young guys in the room. My assistant coaches are here. I stop in every now and then. My team actually helps a little bit too. And they compete at tournaments on the weekends. And so you start to build that foundation. So we graduate 4 seniors. I get a state champion from Kids Club in this coming year. We also going to get a runner-up as well, who are both, at visitation feeder schools right here. Mm-hmm. So they naturally feed in. And, you got to do those things at this level to be successful, to be sustainable. We graduated a lot last year. We do have depth in the program now. Like I was saying, we have about 50 kids in the program. Our school enrollment right now is 420. So you look at it, what's that, 17%, 18% of the school that wrestles. Yes. So you look at all that, adding the swagger and different things like that definitely helped. Other thing that's tricky about wrestling, I'll be honest with you, is, you probably never think about it, but other sports, you can move a quarterback to receiver, you can move a receiver to DB, you can move defensive line to offensive line, you can make those transitions smoothly. This year we had 5 heavyweights, and I had 406-pound wrestlers. Well, guess what I didn't have? I didn't have a 152. So you can't make a heavyweight a 152. You can't make a 106-pound kid a 152.
Right.
So one of the things we had to do is recruit certain weight classes too. So that's what we talk about. You're asking the 4 kids. So we do have depth in a lot of those positions. So I do think we'll be able to hold our own and repeat the state champions. But we got to continue to work hard this offseason, put some work in. We'll do some travel. We'll do some camps out of state, build that team camaraderie up, and continue to grow. But no, I think we're in a really good spot. Now it starts to look at, all right, repeating and what do you continue to do when you start getting your feeder kids into the program from the Eagle Wrestling Academy up to the Shaw program. And the more you can do that and then build sustainability, and that's kind of that building that foundation to where you can compete back up into the Catholic League and these kind of sports, right, because you build that underground platform to kind of be able to feed into you. And all the schools are doing that right now. That's kind of, we're kind of late to the game if you look at it a lot of times. Certain kids are in certain parks that go to schools and certain, visitations, St. Cletus. You got Christian Brothers that feeds the Brother Mark. Mm-hmm. You got all these places that have their feeder programs, right, and sometimes you got to build with them within your own programs like that. So wrestling is definitely that kind of sport, because I can't just go, oh man, you play ball here, boom, boom, boom. No, we kind of had to build within.
Now looking at the facility, it's a very, very nice facility here. I know y'all had to do a lot of tearing down. Is there plans for expansion in the future? Because I've seen a lot of very good facilities, wrestling facilities that Brother Martin, Jesuit, at Rummel, they
right,
got a whole little thing there. A whole training center. Now, I think this is a good base, a good start. It really shows how tough your program is, especially working within right here in this place. Is there any plans, hopefully, for expansion for your program, especially facility-wise?
So yeah, we just, we're very excited about this room. We just got we have another junior high room as well on campus. So with 50 kids, this is a tight room. So what I try to do is I like an intimate feeling though. So I usually about 20 kids in this room. 20 kids stay in this room. It's my 20 that are working hard. Not always the best kids. The 20 kids that I know are going to work hard, they're going to listen, and they're going to be coachable. And those kids stay in this room, and I like that. So this room does get hot when I need to get hot. It's got the wall pad down. We got the surround sound in it, right? Speakers bump pretty good. We have a good time. Got the restroom here. Got a little office in the back. Got a Smith machine too. Mm-hmm. Got the wrestling dummy that we can hang from the wall as well. So we got quite a few things in here that kind of make it, really what I want. I don't mind staying in this room and adding on to the junior high facility and building that, because this is kind of the room, you call them your dogs. You want your dogs in this room. You want your guys, you prepare, and you got 14 spots in the state tournament. I want about 20 in this room that are coming in, wrestling hard, showing up every day, and really grinding it out. If you get any bigger than this, I think it almost gets hard to manage to a big extent. 20 alone, I'll be honest with you, You go from a kid who's in football season, from a kid who, like Caden Judice is a freshman state champion who comes in with years of experience. So you already have enough. I'll be honest, 4 or 5 practice plans going on at any given time that we're trying to mix into. All right, this kid needs to work on this kid works on this, and different avenues. So I do like the intimate feeling. So the next thing we do in this room is we getting our wall of state champions. You see we got the blank walls right here.
Mm-hmm.
We just got our poster in, so I want to put some more posters in of various individual state champions and team runner-up trophies all right here. And then on the other wall, we get etched bricks with every state champion's name.
Nice.
So as you grind it out, you in that practice room, you getting that kind of, look, I want to be my name on that wall, I want my name on the wall.
Definitely.
So that's what we're looking at.
And it seems like you love it over here, come over here to your own office, and then you probably do other things, but I know this is your home, and it's your alma mater, so I know you love what you do.
Coach,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck to you still.
Appreciate you.
Yes,
No
sir.
problem, no problem.
And go Shaw, go.
Go, yeah.